Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri Albert, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness. And hello, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Spirit. My name is Lauri Albert. I am a spiritual medium. And this week, I am so honored to have a dear old friend, Jennifer Rose, as my guest. This week on our show, we are going to discuss recognizing, sorry, I'm thinking faster than I'm speaking, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to recognize and how to begin your own personal spiritual transformation and awakening, right? So if you are feeling as though things might be shifting in your life and you aren't clear how to move forward, Jennifer and I, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Okay. And we're going to discuss tips. We're going to take your questions on how to understand what spiritual awakening is, right? So welcome to the show. And let me introduce to you guys, oh my gosh, Jennifer Rose. She serves as an international spiritual evidential medium, trance healer, and channel, which, oh, I love that. She's a teacher, public speaker, transformational guide, writer, poet, and humanitarian. In addition to her one-on-one work with clients, she demonstrates mediumship for small groups and large audiences, spiritualist churches, and for charitable causes, spreading the awareness that love and life are eternal. She is known for her accuracy, love, and compassion when connecting with spirit. She also hosts, and this is the one thing that I'm so excited to share. She also hosts For the Love of Spirit Sunday spiritual services, bringing the spiritual community together in celebration of spirit. So if you need to follow her, yeah, I'm going to have all her information on the wherever you can find it. Right? So, and then lastly, her mission is to help remind others that we are all spirit too, and made from the absolute love that embodies us. So, oh my gosh, welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Lauri, for having me. I'm really happy to be here and with all of our friends that are on here today. So I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to this all day, all last week, all since you asked me. So I'm really happy. Yeah, thank you.
That's so fantastic.
I just want to say hi to everybody that's on here too.
Yes, we have so many people here. We're live on like all over the place. A couple of different YouTube channels, a couple of
Awesome.
of Facebook channels, and Instagram. So yay, go Instagram, right? Right. I also want to mention that I do this show in conjunction with evolveme.com, and evolveme.com is a spiritual community as well. And there's all sorts of different types of things that you can do on evolveme.com. So I wanted to quick give a shout out to everybody on there. And we have some people from Evolve Me on here tonight. So yay. Hi, Rachel. So awesome. So thanks for being here. I'm so excited.
You're very welcome. It's my honor.
It's so interesting because there are so many people lately that where it just keeps coming up to me about, I think I'm having a spiritual awakening, but I'm not sure what exactly is happening to me. This is happening. The biggest one is I get migraines all the time. Right? Mm-hmm. So let's just jump right in. And you guys, we're going to take questions, and a little later, we're going to do some readings and that sort of thing. So stick around. This is going to be really insightful. So Jennifer, how did your spiritual awakening happen? Or, what is your story? I'd love to know what it is because I don't know it.
Okay. Thank you. Well, my spiritual awakening kind of happened when I started developing as a medium and a healer. So it was pretty much instantaneous because I was doing a lot of meditating and taking a lot of classes. But prior to that, I had felt that longing, that pull of my soul, and it was gradual over time, and then it got stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where it pulled me in that direction despite my insecurities and fears that
Mhm.
everybody has when they first start this kind of journey if they want to go into their mediumship or psychic development or healing development, things like that too. So yeah, it had gotten stronger and stronger. That sort of there's that little knowing in there that's saying there's more, there's
Right.
more, there's more. There's something inside of you that
Yeah.
wants to come out,
Mhm.
that wants to kind of bloom and blossom, and you feel it in there, and you know it's there, and you're trying to touch it, and it but it you can't grab it. It grabs you. It takes you. The path brings you in that direction.
Yeah.
So we think we're searching for it, but it's really searching for us. It's bringing
Yeah.
us to it, which is an interesting thing to discover over time. But yeah, for me, it was just almost instantaneous. I can remember it very clearly, and it was really hard. And it goes in cycles, and you have different stages, and but everybody's journey is a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I
Hmm.
think is probably one of the main things that we should point out,
Yeah.
in talking about your own, developing spiritually, whatever that looks like for you. I mean,
Hmm.
everybody is different.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess that would lead me to the question of what would be a tip that you could give somebody as to they think that things are happening spiritually and they aren't sure? What would you suggest that somebody do?
If they think they're having a spiritual awakening, they probably are.
Yes, exactly.
If you think you are, you
Absolutely.
probably are.
Yeah.
Um, Typically when people are kind of starting out their process, they're gonna notice that their psychic abilities are starting to increase. They're just knowing things that they don't know how they know it. So their senses are increasing. Their sensitivities may be increasing. They're starting to see things,
Mhm.
hear things, become more aware of spirit. And so that's a big one right there, is just when your sensory perception starts to get really lit up. But also, a lot of people don't understand some of the more difficult parts of it. They start going to like those spiritual depressions, which are a little bit different from a standard human clinical depression, because it's controlled more by your higher self, in the sense that it can kind of turn itself off and on, for you to be able to kind of still kind of maintain your life in that different way. So it's a little bit different that way. But a lot of times memories start coming up to the surface, old memories, old things for healing, old traumas, things like that, things that have just been saved. I never think that they're actually stuck. I just think they're saved for when
Hmm.
your higher self is ready to explore them, and
Ooh.
think of what you can. I get chills as I say that, and think of what you can learn from that too. It's just kind of a softer, gentler way of looking at it. And
Mhm. Very
but
interesting.
yeah, a lot of negative thoughts come back on. I usually know from previous experience, if like there's another sort of level of awakening coming in, like there's the negative thoughts start to increase, and that's your kind of
Hmm.
your signal of like, whoa, okay, something's happening. Take a step back, give yourself some time for self-care, integration. um, because if you don't recognize it, then it can kind of like take you over. But if you do recognize it, then and then you're able to handle it and navigate it a lot better, if that makes sense. And so like
That's
people
incredible.
can get really like dark intrusive thoughts, and scary stuff can happen to them, and they think, and
Yeah.
that's how they can sometimes think that there's something bad happening to them, and they
Right.
don't really realize that it's nothing bad from the outside can hurt you, because you're divine spirit. You are,
Mm.
absolute perfect divine love and light.
Yeah.
The dark is just a teacher for you. So it's happening within your own psychic awareness, with you and your higher self, with God, to teach you what you're made of and how strong you are. And it's like, well, let's show the awareness of you and your individuated aspect, what you're made of. Let's see what we can show you. Let's see what we can do. And you're just going to come out stronger every single time, and
Yeah.
realize that nothing can break you, nothing can touch you. It takes a little while to get there, though,
Wow, that
because
is
at
so
first, and so that's
empowering.
why there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff out there about people think about, bad things out there, negative things, on the outside of you. But if you come to the understanding that you're a divine spirit, then you start to get it. You start to get what you're being taught. But
Yeah.
you never really arrive. So that's why I say stay humble through the process, because you think you come to the end of a cycle and you're just feeling so shiny and you're feeling so
Yeah.
beautiful and the world is so magical, and you're looking at one little petal of a flower and it's the most beautiful thing you ever saw, and you're so happy to be that. And unfortunately, we don't always maintain that forever, so it's like
Yeah.
stay humble, because God
Mhm.
will say, hey, let's show you again even how strong you are. We'll
Yeah,
make you even stronger.
exactly. Oh my gosh, that is the most beautiful way to describe that. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
First of all, I have to just acknowledge that we've got Transcend with Debbie online here. She is extraordinary.
Yeah, I
Debbie,
know.
Debbie, nice to see
I
you.
know. Hi,
Thanks for being
Deb.
here, Debbie
Yeah, all our
Ramirez.
girls are here. I know Karen's here, and Fran
Yay.
and Nancy are here. Oh my gosh, all of our friends are here. So good to see
Cynthia and
everybody.
Fran and
Yeah, and
Sue,
Stacia. Yeah, I
Christina.
know.
Oh my God,
All the angels are here. We're surrounded by angels. So look at that.
I love that.
Me
Oh
too.
my gosh. Yes, and we've got Maggie and Bex. Hi,
Yeah,
Bex.
Mag.
And
Yeah.
Iris. So thank you
Mm-hmm.
guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Me too. Me
Um,
too.
I can't get that out of my head what you just said. I'm sorry, because I got to go back to it, because you were just talking about how, the negative things might start to happen. And I was like, wait, what? Really? And then you said, yeah, because that's how sometimes spirit teaches us to grow, because things might be weird and you might think, oh my gosh, this is so negative. Like, this isn't right, but it's a teaching. It's spirit teaching us. Oh my
Everything is
goodness.
love. Everything is love. Like I said, the light will cloak itself to teach you something, to make you pay attention, to say, look at this. What
Yeah.
can you learn about you? And when you learn who you are, know thyself, you
Yeah.
understand that you are connected to the divine, because it kind of breaks you down, builds you back up, breaks you down. So you go from no self to full self to no
Mhm.
self to whole self, but eventually through it all, you realize, oh God, I'm made from God. And so is everybody else,
Yeah.
you
Oh my
know?
God, that is so beautiful. Oh,
Thank you.
you have
Yeah.
just the most beautiful way of words. I mean, seriously. Oh, that is just absolutely
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Um, I I also loved what you said about, making sure that we stay humble in this work too. And, in my classes, that's what I try to really teach, because you have to stay humble about it, because spirit will giveth, spirit can taketh. And they will.
That it can, and it can teach you the same lesson all over again, even harder.
Yeah,
And so you think you've
absolutely.
come out of it. Oh, I'm out of my dark night of the soul. I'm transformed. I'm
Yeah.
enlightened.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
and and I would say I would bound to guess, if we were to approach some of what we might call the highest of teachers out there in the world, they will probably say,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm still learning too.
Yeah.
I'm still learning
Mhm.
too. And they
Mhm.
may emanate incredible amounts of love and light and high frequency. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean when they don't go home that they have to move through the same human emotions that we all do.
Of course. Of
So
course. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it is, I love the phrase, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And to me,
exactly.
that takes pressure off, you know? I mean,
It
it takes
really does.
pressure off, because you start
Yeah.
to think to yourself, "Oh, you know what? I guess you know what? I don't have to feel guilty for enjoying my little glass of wine. I just
No, you don't.
don't have to feel guilty about that."
And you can have nice, pretty things, and you can eat what you want, and you can wear what you want, and
Yeah.
you can listen to the kind of music you want to listen to,
Mhm, mhm.
and still be one high vibrating, gorgeous, amazing being.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Okay, so my next question to you is, what are your thoughts on vibration? Like, you just touched on it, and how do you how would you suggest that people keep their vibration high?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, because
I know.
I do
Sorry, I
believe
didn't mean
that
to
we are
stump you.
all right. I do believe that we are all divine spirit, which means we are out of the realm of duality, which is our human experience, we're already high vibration. And
Mhm.
so because we're divine, right? That's our first and foremost. And so I have trouble with, I don't want to be around that person. They're low vibe, because now we're judging them, and now we're going into a space of separation and
That's
judgment.
so true.
And it's like, what if that person just like lost a loved one? No wonder they're needy, or no wonder they're not happy. They might have just lost a loved one. They might have just lost their job. They might have just gotten divorced or something like that, So then I'm starting to question, well, who's being low vibe if we're making that kind of judgment? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like, who
yeah,
are we to judge anybody else, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we experience a high range of emotions, and some of them are denser and darker and very difficult to move through. So we go through those feelings of lower vibrations. We love being high, we love being joyful, we love being loved, and
Mhm.
and ultimately I'm trying my hardest in my own personality and my own experience to stay in that as much as I can. And
Sure.
there is a point where you just realize, like, you can just, no matter what your circumstances are, you can just choose to be happy. And that doesn't mean 24/7, but it
Mhm.
means most of the time you're just choosing to be happy, even
Yeah,
if the world around you and your own life isn't going perfectly, because it exists within you. You never
yeah,
lose it. But you just have to kind of find it, and know that it's in there, and take good care of yourself.
yeah.
So the lower emotions that we feel, where we do maybe go into those lower vibrations or lower frequencies, they're not bad, they're not wrong, they're just a different experience. And so it's finding a nice balance of, in my opinion, is finding a nice balance of allowing it to move through your system instead of resisting it, but also not like getting stuck in it forever. You know what I
Right.
mean? So we
Yes.
have to find that kind of balance. So that's just kind of my take on it. And everybody's going to be a little different or have their own feelings and senses about it. But as far as like trying to maintain that I absolutely think we have some control over. We don't have a lot of control over most things in our life, because it's like, there's a divine force that's here having this experience with us and our own higher selves and stuff. But um
Yeah.
taking good care of your body, your physiological self, is a
Mhm.
really great way. And a lot of us spiritual folk don't always do that so well. We do
I
a lot of
know.
giving to everybody else. We sit a lot because we're in meditation, so that doesn't mean we're not maybe getting enough fresh air, enough
Mhm.
exercise. We may choose a diet that we think is best for us, but maybe isn't as healthy for us. So for example, like maybe people choose to go vegetarian because they're concerned about animals, but then they get low in protein and iron, and then their body's not working right anymore. So it's like we have to really think about those things a lot, taking care of this divine vessel of you, because it's made of consciousness as well. So I think that's one of the most important things, is
Yes.
taking care of your physical health.
Yes.
Because it's very integrated with your mental and emotional and spiritual health. And if one
Mhm.
thing is suffering, the other things are going to suffer too. And we may think something is spiritual when it turns out to be physical, which is still
Yeah.
spiritual. So the
Yeah.
spiritual then gift, or the
Exactly.
spiritual lesson, is to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Doctors are not bad. Doctors are not wrong, because
Yeah.
spirit works with the doctors too, right? Sometimes
Yes.
we have to go to the doctor, and that's
Yep. Yep.
okay, right? And it's
Mhm.
okay to choose a diet that's healthy for us, because everybody's systems work differently.
That's right.
I think music is a really great one too. I think music is just a gift from spirit, and so finding music that we can, sometimes even sad songs can be healthy because it helps you move through your emotions.
Mhm.
But then also keeping all of your uplifting ones too for yourself too, the empowering ones. So making a playlist of your empower songs,
Yeah.
and your girl power playlist, if you will, or something like that,
That
like
is
making
so
that kind of
funny.
a,
Oh my god. That's
right.
you're
Right.
talking everything that I do, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay, we really are on
I
the same
know.
page."
We're in sync. There we go. Like, we're in sync. And so meditation, prayer, doing acts of service for other people, and God, please do something nice for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
just forget to do that. We think we're supposed to be selfless all the time, but like Spirit showed me, just turn that light on your inside too. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to just be shining out everywhere else. Like, fill yourself
Mhm.
up with your own light, because
Yeah.
it's limitless. It's
Yeah.
unlimited.
And you know what's
Use it.
interesting about that is that I talk to a lot of people, I teach a lot and all that kind of stuff too. And
Yeah.
it's like, there, that old saying that I heard thousands of times when I was a kid, it's better to give than receive. Well, but guess what? It is, but it's not. You have to allow
Exactly.
yourself to receive
Yeah,
because it's about balance. Like life is about
exactly.
balance and getting through all of this stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
And Jennifer says, yes, fill your own cup. You have to fill your own cup.
You really do.
Yeah.
Give from the overflow. Give from the
Yep.
overflow too. And it's always a paradox because you travel from one extreme to the other and then all of the middles and to find your like sweet spot for yourself,
Yeah.
and we want to
Yeah.
try to stay in that sweet spot all the time, but we're going to fluctuate up and down the continuum of
Absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I
And,
think
and
that's one of the hardest things to realize that it's not selfish to do nice things for yourself
oh,
or to have
absolutely.
nice things or to, make choices for yourself, and that's a big lesson for a lot of spiritual
Mhm.
people who come into this because, a lot of people have, gone through trauma and things like that and they don't know how to speak their truth or stand in their power or, communicate their needs or
Mhm.
be assertive, like those are things a lot of people just don't know how to do. And it takes practice. It's lifelong. It's a lifelong journey, so
Yeah.
we don't have to get it all at once.
Yeah. And you
Yeah,
know what? That's such a great, I really want to focus on what you just said, or I want people to hear that again. It's important to just balance, basically. I mean, it's about finding filling yourself up, you know, and then filling other people up because you can't it's kind of like they always say on the airplane, if the cabin loses pressure,
yes,
put your mask on the child first and then put it on yourself. I mean, you have to allow yourself to love yourself as much as love other people and spirit in one
exactly.
go.
Exactly, and that's the big journey for a
Yeah.
lot of us, and there's a lot of information out there and it can be very conflicting and I'm supposed to be this way, I'm supposed to be that way, I'm supposed to be that way, and it's like
Mhm.
all you can be is you. So if you're like, well, who am I? Well, you're you right now, and you're just keep becoming more of you every day. You're just
Yeah.
becoming more of you every day. It's like you're
Yeah.
not doing it wrong,
Mhm.
but
And you know what's really fascinating about that too is that
yeah,
my students tend, like, I noticed that through the years, I guess I could say at this point. It's so interesting because um uh you when you start to go through this awakening and you start to understand your own personal gifts, it's really fascinating that you gain confidence and self-esteem, and because you when you start to sit more comfortably within yourself, then your light is more bright, I think, to other people,
yeah.
you know
Yeah, that's very true, and so that is the gift of transformation is your radiance, is your heart radiance
yeah,
that, and people see it and people notice it.
yeah.
Um, but I've gone in and out of that same confidence, and then I've gone through another wave where spirit says, "Oh, there's more. We'll make you stronger," and then I kind of lose that confidence again, and I have to rebuild it back up
Yeah.
again, so that it's like the tower. You get that tower card, and then you have to build up your tower even. Well, I'll just make it bigger and shinier this time. It's gonna have more pretty things on there, more sparkles. But you get there, but it feels so good to come back to self again. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's why it's such a paradox, Lori, and I'm still
I know.
working this out, and I don't know how long it'll take me, maybe a lifetime. It's just
Yeah,
such a paradox because when you go through this process and you realize your spirit, you realize there is no separate me, right? There
yeah,
is no like separate personality self that's just like a loner, in this big soup of a world, right? It's like you realize that you're connected to something that bigger than you understand, and it's multi-dimensional, and
yeah.
you're channeling your realities, and there's all of this stuff going on, but that process of pulling apart your old belief systems and your old constructs and your old all of that of who you thought you were, you end up realizing you're none of that at the same time, and then but you have to put that sense of self back again too. So it's like we need a sense of self to exist in this world in a positive way, and it's like, so it's having both. So that is the thing, is you go from no self to both to whole self, and kind of, bringing that together. But it's like,
Mhm.
I'm still, it's like, it still mind boggles me, and it's like, and I'm the infinity girl, and I'm like, it still mind boggles me and puts me in a pretzel sometimes, because
Yeah.
I remember in, a big phase of my transformation, realizing like, there's no me, but then at the same time, I feel very much me too. You know what I mean? So it's like both of that. And I need to have a strong sense of self and be grounded here in this reality. And it doesn't lose my
Yes.
connection to spirit. It actually makes my connection better, you
Yes.
know?
Oh, perfect. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You the way you speak, I could just wow, that was so fantastic.
Thank you.
We do have a
Yeah.
question from
Yeah.
Dose of Sunshine. She says,
Ooh.
"What is Jennifer's favorite, most effective way to communicate with spirit?"
Ooh. All kinds of ways.
I know, right?
I mean, I I'm a multi-medium, so I kind of do everything. So I love channeling. I love doing mental mediumship, connecting with our loved ones. I mean, I can talk to angels and guides. I can do automatic writing. So I really do love it all.
Mhm.
I'm kind of connected all the time, so I'm always kind of there, and that's a fun thing to be too. It's very fun. It's very different, but that doesn't mean I'm not grounded at the same time. But I have to work very hard at it. I have to work harder than, like people who aren't in spiritual world, doing this kind of work. I have to work
Yeah,
harder at it because
yeah.
it's so easy to be pulled over because it's such a nice place to be. But I love doing it all.
Yeah.
I really do. I love connecting with our loved ones in spirit. I make friends over there. I love helping people to get that, oh my God, my person's here. My person's really here. Like, oh my God, that feeling that, and that look in their face that, it's everything, and
Mhm.
to go into trance and be able to channel a message from spirit, and then come out of it and everyone's like, "Ooh," like that feels so good too. So just to be a part of it, it's all a miracle. It's all magic. It's all amazing, and it just keeps reminding us that this world isn't nearly as physical and separate as we think it is. It's very, it's connected. Like I say, it's like two rooms in the same house, and
Yeah.
it's very connected. And the more of that magic, the more of the phenomenon, the spiritual phenomenon that we get, and it just keeps coming. It just gets better and better and better,
Yeah.
So it's like I love it. I love it all.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
and I can tell, I can just feel your energy, and it's like you just love what you do, you know? I mean, I look at myself and I think to myself, I'm so blessed because I am doing what I know that I was put on this earth to do, you
yeah,
know? And there's a not a relaxation, but there's a peace to that, you know? I feel peaceful because I've found it, you know? Um and I feel like that you're probably the same way. You just feel there's like a peacefulness that is just there, like inherently. It's just there, you know?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
love that.
Very,
So
very true. We're very lucky. We're very,
yes,
very lucky to be able to like do what we're called here to do.
yes.
And there is a point where I don't know if it really gets to be a choice anymore. It's kind of like, once spirit world has employed you, I
Yeah.
don't think you get to quit. I don't think you get to resign. I don't,
That's awesome. That is so cool. That is so true. So
God
true.
is like, you work for me now, girl.
Yeah. You're on the clock, honey. Come on.
Okay, okay.
That's so cute. So we are sitting here talking with Jennifer
Mm,
Rose. If anybody has any questions, we're going to get into some readings in a few minutes, but now is your chance. If you feel like that you might be having a spiritual awakening and you're just not sure of these things that are happening to you, please let us know. Please let us know. So we do have a question from Sue, and she says,
mhm.
can you see if others are gifted with these or any abilities?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually you can just tell by talking to somebody, you can just kind of know and see it. But usually like And I know you've seen this the same thing, Lori. Like if when we've done like platform in person platform in the past, you know, and then we do Q&A afterwards, there's
Mhm.
always one or two people in the audience. They raise their hand. They're just fascinated by what we do and like, how do you do that? And we're just like
Yeah.
looking at them like, if you're asking that question, don't you know you're a medium too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like
Yep.
you are that. That's why you're so fascinated by it, you know,
Yeah.
because it's calling you and it's lighting everything up in you too.
Yeah.
But if we're actually in the, you know, doing a reading, you know, whether it's in platform or just a private one-on-one session, as soon as you tune in, I can see the colors, so I can know, you know, oh, this person's a healer, oh, this person's, you know, can be a
Yeah.
medium, like, you know, all of
Mhm.
that. Oh, this person's got, you know, is going to be a mystic. They're going to be you know,
Yeah.
spiritual leader or teacher of some
Yeah.
sort too. So I would imagine it's the same for you as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you can just tell by the energy. I'm really
Mhm.
well because I'm an empath, but I'm
Yeah.
really sensitive to energy. So I can just like I can look at somebody and go, ooh, ooh, you got some stuff
Yeah,
percolating,
I
you know.
know. And when they walk into a room, you're like, oh, nice.
Ooh, right. Ooh, I wanna, yeah, let's go talk, you know, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Autumn Sunrise says, I give my loved ones hugs all the time in my head that have passed and thank them for being there for me. Isn't that amazing? That's so
That's so beautiful.
beautiful.
That's very beautiful. And they appreciate it too.
Yeah,
Everything we do for
absolutely.
them, you know, every time we think about them or like light a candle or talk to them or play their song or, you know,
Mm,
touch
yeah,
something that they used to own, you know, they love that. They love to be remembered because they're still them, you know?
yeah,
They're still
absolutely.
them. They love to be remembered just like they remember us, you know?
Yeah.
And
Aw.
it's it's just they just move into a different room, and when we come in this way, that doorway in between the rooms or that window, that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. We're just coming into that little in between space, and it's pretty thin,
Oh,
you
it's so
know?
beautiful. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
So now we have a question. Well, I don't know if it's a
Mhm.
question yet from Bex. She says, I don't know if it's an awakening, but I'm becoming more aware. It's always been around in my life, but just now focusing on learning. So that's kind of an interesting thing when it's like right in front of your face and all of a sudden you're like, it's a little bit more prominent lately. Maybe I should pay attention. So what would you say to
Yeah,
Bex?
I mean, definitely, you know, part of awakening and transformation is building self-awareness and going through transformation. And that may look different to different people. So some people might not call it spiritual. They may just say that they're maturing, you
Yeah.
know, that they're a more mature person. But that takes transformation to get through. And usually life is going to deal you some, you know, interesting challenges or mountains to climb to get those.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful gift to build in that self-awareness,
Yeah.
because with that, you have a lot of confidence with that too, and that's what enables you to be empathic to other people,
Yeah.
enables you to hold space for other people,
Yeah.
enables you to know your own limits and boundaries.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's my journey too. You know, it's
Mhm.
building my own, you know, increasing my awareness the best that I can of being the best person I can be, the best version. So I'm not afraid of change. It's not easy all the time, but I'm committed to doing it because I want to keep. I just keep being shown how much more there can be, and when you get to finally look back and see how far you've come, you know, so like 2 years ago, I would have looked back, you know, it's go, "Wow, I've come so far," and now it's like I can look back and go, "Oh my god, I came even
Yeah.
farther," you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, you don't realize how much more there is until you step into it, you
Yeah.
know? But, you know, that it really helps you to live this life,
Yeah.
to the more aware that you can be. So I would say good on you, go for it, you know, and thank
Yeah.
you for being you, you
Oh,
know?
that's so beautiful. That's beautiful. So now we have a really interesting question, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that Raven Energy 1111
Yeah. Hi,
asked this.
Raven.
Any recommendations on how to fight the fear? I've been fearful of exploring my gifts further due to fear.
Okay, do you mind adding, like, what kind of fears you're talking about too?
Yeah.
Sometimes people they're fearful of the spirit world, so they're
Mhm.
fearful of, like, something dark, or do they need to be protected?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes it's a confidence thing, you know, of, "Can I do this? Am I good enough? Are people gonna believe me?" Like, those kinds of things, or maybe it's a combination. I'm going to tell you, like, that's very normal. And like everybody goes through that, especially in the beginning too. But think of fears as not your enemy, but your teacher. Think of a fears as your teacher
Yeah.
instead of your enemy, because when we try to resist it, then it tends to bang on our door much louder and
Yeah.
scarier. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
just accept, and also know, like, everybody's insecure. I'm sorry, it's part of being human. You're going to go in and out of it. You're going to feel confident, and then you're going to feel insecure, and then you feel confident, and you're going to be insecure. And it's like, it depends on where you are in your life, what you're going through, what your circumstances are, how stressed
Mhm.
out you are, and things like that. So I say, take care of you, manage you guys are all empaths. You all have very sensitive nervous systems. You got to
Mhm.
learn to manage that too. I mean, I say
Mhm.
that from experience. I've had to learn to manage my nervous system and become more and more aware of how much stress I can tolerate, and when I need to check out and take some rest, do some self-care, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Do some grounding and things like that. And so that's really important. But I would just say, try not to fear, right? Like lean into it, and
Yeah.
know that that is part of, like, the learning to the hero's journey, is the courage of stepping into the unknown, even
Mhm.
though it's scary.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to say is that even if you don't, your higher self will just pull you in anyways.
That's
You're gonna make it there one way or another,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so and but also, there's we also understand that this reality, there's a lot of illusions, and you're going to be presented with different perspective and different illusions, and there has to be some knowing and understanding of that, of everything you think is true may break down and come into something else,
Mhm.
too. So fear is a teacher, but it's also an illusion,
Yeah.
because ultimately you are divine,
Yeah.
you are perfect, you are spirit, you are God, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
we live our stories here too. And that's how the higher part of us wants it. We
Yeah.
want
Ooh.
the higher part of us I know, I got chills too. It wants to experience sadness. It wants to experience grief. It wants to experience hope and love and
Yeah.
joy and beauty, even despair, even sorrow, even bottom of the bottom, right?
Yeah.
But you always end up back at the top. You could get pulled down to the center of the earth, to the, below the bottom of the ocean, and then you're just going to come back out the other side and end up in the sunshine again. You
Oh,
know,
that's so
there's
beautiful.
nowhere to go but back up into the light,
Yeah.
one way or
So
another.
Raven energy does say, I feel the
Okay.
energy too strongly. I can tell if there's someone from the spirit world near me. So I feel like
Mhm.
that she's probably just nervous of, like, whoa, what is,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so helping to so one thing is develop trust with the spirit world. And so that's, one of the gifts that you can give to spirit is your trust, to learn to fall into the arms of the loving spirit world, because they will have and they will hold you, right? That feeling of too strong is, it's also a perception too.
Mm.
So it's like,
Mhm.
that is also your power that you're feeling, because as I'm tapping into that right now, you're also becoming aware of your power. And so that strong is not just the outside spirit, it's also
Mhm.
your own spirit, that you're becoming more aware of your own power. And that can be like, whoa, too. But then as the spirit world starts to come closer and closer to you, because you're working on your development, that power is also going to increase in kind of its intensity, or even density. As you start to work in the trance states, that power gets really strong, really heavy, and makes you sleepy. I feel it sometimes. I'm just watching a demonstration and the power gets so strong, I'm like, oh God, don't fall asleep. But I'm not. It's because the power is so strong, I'm starting to move into an altered state. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't know what that is. So if you find the power is like getting super kind of like heavy and like feels like it's pushing on you,
Yeah.
that's you're just moving into a trance and altered state, which is a very normal part of living. We do it all the time, when we dream, when we're falling asleep, when we're waking up, when we're taking a shower, when you drive somewhere and forget how you got there, you've moved into an altered state. When you meditate, all of that. It's just when it happens in that kind of way, it can be a little scary because you're like, what is that? Oh my God, what is that? What's that pressure, that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if you just kind of know what that is, that will probably help. You can ask spirit or your higher self, like, just take that back a notch. That's a little bit too intense. And maybe that's the lesson, is they're just trying to get you to ask for something, or to help direct the process a little bit too.
Yeah.
But ultimately you'll get more and more used to it. So to me, it just didn't bother me at all anymore. But in the beginning it was like, whoa, 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 what is that? And you're asking your teacher, is this okay? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hope that's helpful, Raven.
Yeah. Raven, I hope that that's helpful, because that was perfectly stated, as
Thank you.
as I knew it would be. Yeah, because you just have to keep moving forward and step away from the fear. You have to allow yourself to step away from the fear, because, I was considering going down a whole rabbit hole, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, it's just I think of spirit as love. So if I trust that spirit is love,
Yeah.
that helps me. I gift them with my trust,
That's
and
kind of
it's
what I
just,
was actually going to say.
yeah. And I've learned, if they're showing me something scary, I'm just like, yeah, haha, okay, yeah, I've seen,
Right.
because I know it's an illusion, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I've kind of learned the game in that way. But
Yeah.
but also I think the more, as human beings, we can just try new things, that will help. Because if we get really comfortable in our life and get very, like, have our outside world very controlled, then that makes us feel very safe. But trying new things can help us to build more resilience to change as well. And it's a little bit different from Raven was talking about. But when it comes to fear in itself, try something new on the menu, drive a different way, go to a different restaurant, wear something you're not used to wearing, change
Yeah.
your hairstyle, like, little things like that. And that will help your mind to get more accustomed to change and to transformation. So when the bigger things happen, you can handle it a little bit better. And that way, that sort of fight flight part of the rear brain isn't, like, coming in saying, whoa, 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 like, wait a minute, like, I got to step in and protect you. And it's like, well, no, 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 wait a minute, we got this. Look, at we're used to change. We try new things. Trying new things is good. This is okay. It's like, we're gonna make this. We're doing this together. So you develop a partnership with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
So Dose of Sunshine says, I'm waiting for my wow moment, even though I've had a billion signs and I fully believe. I want to see, hear, or feel something that knocks my socks off just one time. keep
Then
keep
you
believing,
will.
keep going, and you will. Exactly. I mean, yeah,
I promise you will.
that is so funny. She's so
um,
cute. Oh, that is adorable.
um, if you can get into, like, any kind of, like, physical mediumship circle, or work in trance healing, or something, like work in the trance and altered states, that's going to help you to kind of build up that power to, like, maybe you can start getting some, like, knocks on your walls or something like that. I'm not sure what you've experienced yet, but usually with physical phenomenon, you feel like that temperature change, you get knocks and raps on your walls. Things like that, just kind of, whoa, stuff like that, like, and that stuff could scare people in the beginning. But, like, I've learned that, like, it's just like, whoa, show me what you can do next. Or they
Yeah.
make stuff appear, like a penny appears out of nowhere, you just know it wasn't there, or they move
Yeah.
something,
Mhm.
apports, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
the atmosphere of the room can change, become kind of foggy, misty, densey, those kinds of things. So yeah, there's a lot of wow out there, and I promise you, it'll just keep getting more amazing. That's why I always say, never surprised, always amazed,
Yeah.
because I'm not surprised when that stuff shows up, but it's always like, oh my God, it's so cool.
That is, yeah, absolutely, right? And
Yeah,
even though you've been doing this for many years, you still get that, "Oh my gosh, did that really just happen?" I mean, that happens to
I
me. I had
do.
the lights,
Yeah,
I'm in my spirit room, and the lights
yeah,
just turned on, or excuse me, they turned off and back on. They didn't flicker. They turned off and back on 2
yeah,
different times when we were talking about this lady, and, this lady coming through in spirit, and I was like, "Well, that's your sign, if you ever had a
yeah,
question." That's what they do,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
fun.
and
You have to
yeah.
look at it as fun and exciting,
It is, it is, because, I mean, that's magic. They're showing you magic. Like,
yeah, yeah,
they're bringing magic to this physical reality. And I want to say something too, even with the little signs that we kind of get used to and accustomed to. If you see a license plate that's got that, and you know it's meant for you because you know your your vision got pulled to it, and you know you were meant to see that license plate or that bumper sticker on that car. Everything had to go right that day to get you on the road at that time.
Yeah.
That means if you dropped your keys, you couldn't figure out what to wear. I've told this little story before. You couldn't figure out what to wear. You got a phone call out of nowhere, something. You know, all of those things had to come in place to get you on the road at that time. And then that car had to be on the road at the right time. And the other cars had to not be in the way. So
Right.
all of that had to be synchronized just to get you there. That's extreme amazement right there when you stop and think about like, wow, like that's so cool. And
Yeah.
then you realize how synchronous it all is. Then you start
Yes.
to realize, wait a minute, like, oh my gosh, like synchronicity is
Yeah.
everywhere. It's everything. And then you start to realize how incredibly intelligent of a divine force or whatever you want to source that
Mhm.
we're all part of too. And so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun to talk. Oh,
Yeah.
I love this conversation.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm having so much fun.
Me too.
Um, so we have another question. This is kind of
Mhm.
interesting too. We have so many questions, and I'm going to try and get to as many as possible. But so this is from Darcy. She says,
Yeah.
great to be here. I'm noticing a playful haze move in front of me when my eyes are open, wanting to learn more about it and what to do with it.
Playful haze. Well, that feels kind of like fairy energy to me.
I know, right? Mhm.
I would just say thank you. I would just say thank you and just be in the wonder of that too. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. That's really nice that you can feel it too, that you can feel the playfulness. That very much feels like playful fairy energy. What I'm also getting for you is like usually when like that shows up, it's kind of trying to pull your like inner child out to have some fun. So maybe go do something fun. That could be like, a night out with your girlfriends. It could be watching a Disney flick. It could be getting yourself an ice cream cone, like going out and playing ball, or maybe go dancing or something like that, you know what I mean? Or just joy, going out and, singing to yourself, like, putting your favorite music on and having dance and singing, while you're in your own home, things like that, whatever kind of like brings you joy. So that could be like what's trying to tell you to, and then just kind of, go with it too. So that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds like so much
Yeah.
fun. Okay. So Nan says,
hmm
does spirit ever tell you, nope, this is not for you, not your calling? That's an interesting question. I've never heard that question before.
That could happen. That doesn't mean it's true. And it doesn't mean
Mm.
spirit's lying to you. It means you're being tested to know for yourself, right?
Ooh, right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
That's where it gets to be tricky, reading between the lines and getting the deeper meaning, questioning it too. So sometimes you will be posed or given something that you're supposed to like question and look deeper. And so it's going to challenge you to go deeper, to look deeper, to like really look in there too. So,
Yeah.
and the challenges can get bigger over time too. So that's why I say like a lot of information can have much deeper meanings than what's on the surface. It's like learning to read between the lines, and you could read something or hear a song and get 10 different meanings out of it at 10
Yeah.
different times depending on when you're listening to it or when you're reading it too. And so if we're taking everything just at face value on first listen, first read, there could be more in there for you that you might be missing. So that's why sometimes listening to something that
Yes.
is helpful for you that you like, and then listening to it again and you might get more. Like I like to watch certain movies that have a lot of symbolic value to them and a lot of like spiritual meaning to them, but I might have to watch it 5 times and I still see things that I missed, right? Because your brain and your eyes can only take in so much stimulus at once.
Yeah.
And so by watching that same movie and over again, I start to connect the dots a lot better. I'm like, oh my god, that's what the filmmaker was doing, that's what they're doing. Oh, I missed that, I didn't get that the first time
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Ooh, fantastic. I mean, I never thought about it in terms of that. That's really fascinating. So Jennifer says, yes, was scared. Now I'm not. Now I say hello and talk out loud. Did I already read this? I'm sorry. if I did. My
I
youngest
don't
son
think
has
so.
gifts and he helped me be more open to it because he had no fear. Don't you just love it when
That's
kids
awesome.
kids have no fear of it. It's when I shouldn't say parents, but I should say adults. It's when the adults get involved and say, no, that's imaginary. No, no. That's when it's like, no, don't do that. That thing.
Yeah,
So
that's why if you're young and you have somebody that can help to like nurture that and foster that within you and help you take care of it, you're very, very lucky. Because most of us, you're in my age, we probably didn't have that. I have met some people that did, but most of us back then,
yeah.
people just were really way more skeptical back then than they
Yes.
are now. So family,
Yes.
friends, all of that just kind of was like, no, that's not real.
Yeah.
You're wasting your money, you're being taken, you're this, you're that, that's not
Mhm.
real.
It's interesting
Yeah.
when I first started really developing, both of my grandmothers came through and they were both gone on the other side. And they told me that they both had gifts one way or the other, whatever it was. And I never actually did ask them from the other side what their gifts were, but they both had these gifts, but they could never really talk about it because you just didn't back then. You just did not talk about it. It was taboo. And
Mhm.
part of the reason why I'm doing all the lives and the podcast that I do is because I want to help. I feel like that part of my goal, part of my being here is to help to normalize it
Yeah,
within
yeah.
within society. And
Mhm.
it's so fascinating to me how the other generations handled it. I mean, maybe they were still, at the early 1900s, maybe they were still caught up in the witch trials and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of negative stuff out there about mediumship
Oh,
and spirituality and movies, even, some of the TV shows and things like that, they paint it in a certain light or they show the spirit world in a certain way.
yeah.
And it's like, so I think, you and I are trying to bring a little balance to that to
Yeah.
remind everybody of the love. And if we can move into that loving space and that trust in the love,
Yeah.
um, there is a whole world of beauty that is to be
Yeah.
discovered,
Yeah.
and um one thing that really helps because I'm the same as you, Lori, and so I've had many people say when I've worked, in public, especially in person too, it's like when you move into that space of love with the spirit world and that understanding of that, it opens up the room and it
Yeah.
opens up people's hearts. And then
Yes.
they can feel the spirit. They can feel
Yes.
that loving essence with them, right? Too. And it's like if we're putting fear stuff into the spirit world, everybody gets like this. The
Yeah.
whole room gets constricted. You and
Mhm.
I are very sensitive to energy, so we can feel it. We can feel that you know what I mean? And people
Mhm.
can't always identify what that is. So if it opens up and your nervous system calms down and you just go, oh,
Yeah.
that's when like you're in the space of love or in the space of truth, and love and truth go
Yeah.
hand in hand together.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
that's
dance partners.
yeah, that's so beautiful. And to expand upon that, it's so fascinating because um I remember having an aha moment of my own of like, I was raised very Catholic and Christian, had that whole thing going on, but my husband is Jewish. And he would like, people would say, well, he's going to hell. And I said, he's one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. So if God is going to like make him go to hell just because of, his upbringing and blah blah blah, then there's something wrong here. Like there was
Mhm.
something not making sense to me. So I went out and of course, I had to research that because
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom that. I mean, some of these amazing people, like really, so you're telling me that millions and millions and millions of people are all going to hell because they're Jewish? That doesn't make any sense to me. And then that's when, and I'm sorry if that's just my own personal belief. Okay. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to, if whatever, people are allowed to believe whatever they choose. I fully believe that. Okay. But what's interesting is that I then started getting into what love was. I know that sounds kind of silly, but it's like I was
No.
really researching what is love. And then all of a sudden I started like learning about how God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, it's love. It's just that it's just love, and we are
Yeah.
made from love, and love is here. And then I learned
Mhm.
years later, from my meditation teacher, David G. He said, the highest vibration wins. And that actually almost brings me to tears to think that, because
Yeah,
the highest vibration wins, you guys. So if you're going to
exactly.
be in a place of fear, don't stay there.
Yeah.
The highest
Let
vibration
it
is going to win.
let the fear teach you how to push you back up into the love. Just let it
Yeah,
be your teacher. You know what I mean? That's why I say sometimes when you get nervous, you're going to go up on stage to do a public speaking, change that nervous into excitement. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's like, things like that. But right,
yeah,
it's love, and that is the journey. We are all on a journey of love. Everything is, and it
yeah,
shows itself in some ways we may not understand. At
yeah,
some point we will,
yeah,
and it's like, in the end, God, I use the word God in a spiritual sense, not in a religious sense. I use the
mhm,
word God in a spirit, but God is, is everything and everyone. And there
yeah,
is no place that love or God is not. And God abandons no one. There is no soul that will ever be abandoned or lost because we
yeah,
come from God,
yeah,
and I've just seen too much to think otherwise too.
yeah,
Spirit world would never abandon anybody,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so we're all going to make it. We're already there, because we're already in spirit world. We're just dipping our face into a pool of human experience, kind of
yeah.
like in
Mm,
that movie, like is it the Harry Potter movie or something like that? We're just,
I don't
you know, you know. So it's like, how can
know.
we not end up where we came from, because we're there already, and
Yeah,
we're just, immersing ourselves into this reality too. It's just a dream
yeah,
within a dream within a dream within a
yeah.
dream.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Love
you
that.
know,
So
just
Jennifer,
the way you look at it, right? It changes the
yeah,
way you look at it, and you're like, oh,
absolutely.
wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is so true. I
Mhm,
mean, if we just, and it's to take that like one step further,
mhm,
I can't, this is just me, right? And again, just me. I can't use the word God. Because and it's
mhm.
not like I dislike God, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
right? But I need to use the word spirit, because
yeah,
God was like that disciplinarian the way I grew up, right? God was a disciplinarian. God was like, he's going to punish you. And that's kind of how I grew up, right? So I
yeah,
don't want to have that connotation. So when I think about spirit, it's
yeah,
spirit. And it's the same
right.
thing I teach. One of my students does not like the word meditation. Now, for me, I can't have a thing about the word prayer. So I always like to call
Yeah,
it meditation. But she
right.
has this thing about the word meditation. So I said, call it prayer or sitting in the
Yeah.
stillness,
It's all the same,
whatever.
and in the end, it's all the same. It's whatever word works for you, and that's why
Exactly.
I try to
Yeah.
point out that I use that word in a spiritual sense, because I
Yes.
know in the religious sense it has that. Um, but if anyone is struggling with that word, but they want to use that word, but they're struggling, that's where, like, Sister Faustina, I believe it was, who channeled the divine mercy Jesus, with the light coming out of the heart and the hand, and that was all about,
Yeah.
a merciful forgiving. You just rubbed your nose. That's all, that's always a sign of, yes, it's a
Oh,
merciful, forgiving God,
oh,
and that
I didn't
changed
realize
it
that.
from
That's
the
so
old
cool.
version. Yeah, I know. That changed. It's like the on the nose, you're spot on. And so you instinctively did that because you're like, oh, because that felt right, in
Yeah.
that sense, because it changes it from the old version of the judgmental God, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
just think of that as just a challenge of what, maybe isn't true for us too. But
Yeah.
perspective, we judge all the time. There's perspective, and that's how our brains are trying to make sense of everything. And we've got mirror neurons, and we're just, we're this big sea of constant perspective and experience, and we try not to, but we're all doing it a little bit, no matter how hard we try not to, but in the sense of the divine source or spirit, to get unconditional love and acceptance and compassion, like,
Mhm.
that means you have an understanding of the why of everything and the how it works. And for us to hear to we all want to get there, but I don't know, that's a really high place to try to, put yourself. Just be happy sort of where you are and getting a little bit better each day,
Yeah.
at having that,
Mhm.
at, trying harder to be more compassionate, and but we'll all be challenged. Do you think you're a good person now? Let's put this in front of you, and then
Yeah.
see what you find about yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, so
Yeah.
always these little things kind of will
Yeah.
happen, just but we try, we just try our best to get there, and then just accept the human experience of it all
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
so it's like, in the end of, like, are we judging for judging? Are we judging ourselves for judging?
Exactly, right? You
You
know?
know, even before in the beginning, I was like, well, that's kind of judgmental. Well, then I was being judgmental.
Being judgmental of the
Sorry.
judging.
I know. So we
I love
try
it.
our best, we try
Yeah,
our best.
that's
Yeah.
the thing. And you know what?
Yeah.
We can be ourselves, because the
Yeah.
pressure is off because we are just doing the work of spirit at that point. So
Right.
we can just be ourselves, and I think that's what gives us maybe that self-esteem, because you know what, I'm allowed to be who I am then in this,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's so amazing. Such a cool conversation, you guys.
Yeah.
It's already been an hour. I am like, Jennifer, you have to come back again, because this
Okay.
conversation could go on forever. I mean,
We could talk about this for hours. Yeah,
oh, I
I mean, I'd
know.
be happy to stay with you, but it's up to you. You're the host. But yeah, I mean, I know we could talk about this stuff for hours. It's endless. It's infinite.
It's infinite, exactly,
It's
exactly.
infinite.
Well, before we go, tell everybody where to reach you, and tell everybody about I forget exactly what you call it, the spiritual soul Sunday, the spirit Sunday
Okay. Yeah.
spiritual services. Yeah, for the
Okay.
love of spirit.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am at mediumjenniferrose.com is my website. On Facebook, I'm at Medium Jennifer Rose. No added punctuation, just Medium Jennifer Rose. And on Instagram, I'm flip-flopped at Jennifer Rose Medium. There's other practitioners with the same name, but they have other, so it gets a little confusing. Look for the infinity signs on my posts, which most of them are, except when I've shared from another source. And that helps or you just see my picture. To my Sunday service, I run every 2 weeks right now with my little For the Love of Spirit Angel team. We have different guest mediums on each time. And so we do mediumship. We have a little inspired talk. We have a group healing with all my trance healers. So it's a nice, powerful opportunity to get healing. We have music, we have love, spiritual poetry as well. So we try to put it all together. It's a very loving place to be. So for the community to come together and just be in the love of spirit and celebration of spirit and have that friendship. It doesn't matter like what you believe or where you come from, we're just there to be in love and that too. So I'm very honored that spirit kind of moved me to build and create that. And then I've got my beautiful team that helps me with that too. So and then, COVID made us go international. So I'm very, very happy about that. And
Yeah.
I've got a new show starting on Fridays with Kelly Brickle on the Sacred Spiral Network called Embracing Infinity. And we're going to be talking about spiritual topics and love. And, you can do
Awesome.
anything under the umbrella of infinity. You can talk
Yeah.
about anything
Yeah.
too. And then I do a love show every 2 weeks called Love Connects, where we talk about love and do little readings and things over on SPTV as well. So I do that every couple
Awesome.
weeks too. So because I love talking about love, and we all
Yeah.
need help with that. We all need help with our relationships, learning, and I'm on the journey with you. So I kind of learn whatever spirit teaches me or whatever I learn, I try to share. And
Yeah.
we're all on that journey of love together. And we do it by ourselves and we do it with each other.
Yeah.
So it's not a solitary journey all the time. It's also a journey of togetherness. So
Yeah.
with our with one-on-one, with groups of friends, with the collective, with spirit world, it's all of it too. And we're constantly learning from each other and from our own self-awareness and self reflection as well.
Yeah.
Thank
Beautiful.
you for letting me share.
Oh, absolutely. This was so enjoyable. And thank you for all the beautiful wisdom that you gave us. Thank you for, keeping love at the forefront of the conversation, and not just this conversation, but every conversation. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Let love be your compass. Just follow the love wherever that direction is. It will you'll find your way, or it will find you.
Yeah.
So if you don't know where to go, just kind of let it come to you. Follow the process. I know that's not easy because we all want to be good achievers and good doers for spirit world and all of that. Sometimes you just got to take a pause and just let the path show up and just move with the path. But
Yeah.
love will take you where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
But it will, it may show up differently than you expect it to, but in the end, you'll figure out why. So it's a constant mystery and unfolding. And I feel blessed to have this time with you, Lauri. And I just want to thank everybody for being here, because I can feel your energy. You're just the kindest, sweetest people. So I just like, oh, I want to cry.
That's great. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. And I will not be here next week, just so everybody knows. But the week after, I will be here. So until next time, everybody, namaste. Have a beautiful evening, everybody.